My name is Ishita Doshi. I lead the tax practice at PKF O'Connor Davis. So PKF O'Connor Davis is the first 30 CPA firm in the US, and we have offices here at four locations. Ahmedabad, we have two offices in Mumbai, we have in Hyderabad, and one in Chennai. So overall, from a professional side, I'm a qualified chartered accountant and a licensed CPA. I did my chartered accountancy in 2008. I did my CPA 2011. And looking you all sitting today, I just kind of, recall my those CPA days where I was sitting and, kind of in terms of the thought process, pretty very ambitious. But unfortunately, at that point of time, we did not have many leaders in the industry, right? Because we were just at the start of that professional domain. And, we were looking for some guidance, but unfortunately, we don't have many leaders who could guide us. So I'm all here today to kind of support you, to, guide you, what are questions you have, what are, concerns you have, how you feel that we in the industry as a leader can help you, shape your future. So, any questions, should we go, or how you want me to go further?
We'll be having a task kind of setup about that. They're going Instagram live as well.
Okay.
And then I think we have the Zoom already done.
Yeah, Zoom is already live.
Zoom is already. So they're just setting up.
In the meantime, can I just kind of
Yeah.
because I'm very I'm always with my team at the work, so I'll be with you today, right? So until all those logistics are being set up, any kind of things that you would like to know specifically, like to hear how my journey has been with the US. Yes, I don't want to bore you otherwise. So I'll start back from 2008 when I did my chartered accountancy. And why I did my chartered accountancy was also because I love the numbers. I was full of ambition and I loved the numbers. There were two things, and I selected CA as my career because with that profession, these two things are primary the requirement. You should have love for numbers and you should have that curious mind, that ambitious mind, right? To be being challenged every day. So in 2008, I started with the US tax. At that point of time, I still remember, talking to my parents. This US tax is pretty new. I have never heard anyone going into this domain. Who are my, daughter and, I just have my elder sister, so we just have two daughters, kid's daughter and I'm CA. So he was like, why do you want to go to an international level? Like India itself has a lot of opportunities. Just CA, would be kind of feel and okay. We don't want you to travel to the US. I did not have any aspirations to being placed in any of the foreign countries either. So at that point of time, what I wanted was I wanted to set myself aside, from other professionals. How can I be something different, a little level up as compared to my other, friends and colleagues, and, the family members, because I have a lot of chartered accountants in my family as well. So that was one point, and that clicked me with an opportunity that I saw from the US firm that they were looking for fresh chartered accountants. I went for an interview, and in that interview, I got to know about the US tax. So I researched as to what the US tax is, how much is it different from the India tax, and how much will I have to pour in terms of energy, in terms of time, efforts, and everything, right? Because it's quite different. So at that point of time, I found that change that I have is a very challenging change. And that challenge, brought more curiosity to my mind. That I, worked for 3 years with the US CPA firm. And then in 2011, at that point of time, we did not have biometric centers here in India that we could appear. For example, we had to either travel to the US or we could appear for exams from Dubai. So I traveled to the US for my CPA exams. Twice I appeared for 2 papers each, 2010 and 2011. And at that point of time, I was already married also. Unfortunately, when my husband, had time, me being in the US, and he unfortunately met with an accident. day of my exam, I went to the Prometric Center and I got the news that he has met with a severe accident. I, came back, I canceled my exam on that day. I came back to India, took a immediate flight that I could get, but I traveled again to the US next year and I appeared for my CT exams and I cracked it. The passion that you should have, right, for the vision that you have made for yourself. No, level of struggles that no matter what level of struggles would get your way, you should never ever leave. It could be your road path to your EA, if you're looking for an EA, as your degree, if you're looking for a CP as your degree, your journey, no matter what struggles you get on that journey, you should never ever leave your path and stay committed on that. So, and that, commitment, it was just not to the level of the, career line that I became a CPA. Till now, is what it was. So always stay committed and always stay committed to the goals that you have set for yourself. That in general would go a long way. That is how I, kind of ended up doing my CPA post my CA. Anything that you would like to know further? No? Come on, I want to be interactive. I don't want one side. You have no, what is it that you had in my mind that, we would like to learn or we would like to seek a guidance?
Ishita, this way. So I have a question regarding the leadership with the vision. So when you mention the leadership with the vision, as in like you interact with the employees on a daily or a weekly basis, as in your team, like how would you know the grievances that they are having, and how do you give them the path to the success?
Yes, great question. So thank you so much for asking that. So yes, at PK Popon Davis as a firm and I in general as a leader, we have a constant checking calls. We have reporting managers call who pretty much lead the projects. We have separate checking calls with the team members who are under that projects because it's very important that the leaders are aligned with the team in, right? Otherwise the project falls apart. So we do have a separate calls, weekly calls with the leaders and the team. And simultaneously, we have a model which is called as a pathway to success at PKF O'Connor Davis. That is pretty much a trajectory model, okay, that will guide every employee at their own designation. Like at a staff level, as from firm, our expectations are different. From seniors, our expectations are different. From supervisors, until the level of the partner, the firm expectations are different. So we don't want any of our employees to have surprises when we have those increments, year-end appraisal calls or, the career advisor calls as to their career was not going in the right direction. So with that model that we have in place, which is called Pathway to Success, we pretty much are very transparent as to what our expectations and simultaneously the employees also, right? They can prep themselves as to this is what is expected out of me. So they also prep themselves and they strive to reach, and kind of give 100% to those, expectations. I hope I answered your question. Yes,
Okay, I think we are already live. And somehow this has become like an impromptu kind of setup. So just if everyone others are on phone, just check if we are live or not. We are live, is it? So am I audible? Audience there on Instagram. So they're on Instagram and YouTube both, if I'm not wrong, right? Okay, cool. First of all, thank you so much for coming in. And specifically, we are like having a good kind of session today on US tax. We have one of the fantastic leaders who are there, who are coming, who would be sharing their thought process on US tax. And just before I continue, so there is some setup which is happening. Okay. So as we all know, today we have Ishita Doshi. So she is a chartered accountant and a US CPA and have tremendous experience. It's over 12 years of experience in the US tax domain itself. She has worked previously with Citrin as well. And there will be some firing questions which are coming on your way, Ishita. I hope you are ready because you were just telling that there is no engagement happening. So I thought who's better than us to engage you?
Of course.
Okay, awesome. So the first question which kinds of comes up because, and this is something which a lot of students are asking. So I did carry a paper, but as you know, I never read from the paper. So it looks good when we are having a paper and communicating. But the first question which comes up from the student community is, with Trump and all coming up, so how do you see US tax war getting outsourced to India? And do you see that there would be some sort of decline on that particular way?
I think the US tax industry in general, the way that it has been shaping up, there will be more and more, I would say, demand for the US tax professionals because the tax regulations are kind of getting more and more complex, and it is going global. More than what we see, the entrepreneurship are taking their business on a global level. So with this scenario coming over, I think there is more of a demand. So versus with this Trump inactions, with no offense, but I don't think that there is any kind of number, that he will be able to restrict in terms of expansion or in terms of requirements to the US tax candidates. I think it will go the other way around. Instead of curtailing, there will be more of a demand. With the new hire act coming in, firstly, as of now, I don't see that coming up. It is still under the bill and the passing of the resolutions. But even if it comes in, still, it's where would you get the talent in the US, right? To kind of match up where is the supply, to kind of match the demand that would have for the US tax professionals. And we at India, right, we are so much of into the number loving people, the accountants by basics, chartered accountants, and of course, platforms have made, the changes. Now we have the prometric centers here, the facilities that we have here. I think so we have more capability to kind of match.
So with AI and automation coming, what roles will remain in high demand in the US tax? Because as we have seen, tax is more of a compliance related. So we see a lot of the prep work and we are hearing roles getting automated due to AI. So do you think that will AI automate much of the work in the US tax or it is still here for next 5 to 10 years?
So AI will definitely automate the work. It will make our work easy, but definitely not replace us. And
Okay.
so I always keep on, and this is not something that probably the students would like to hear. This is something I get these questions from my employees, on day-to-day basis also. So AI is not here to replace us. AI is here to transform how we work, right? And reduce the redundancy of the work that we have versus we get those data in a couple of minutes versus the hours of the work that we earlier used to do. But with that values or with that analysis, what value you as a professional in tax is going to add, to be extended to the client is what we will have to together see.
So that's a good news for all the students who are watching today. And AI will not automate US tax. So US tax is here for next 5 to 10 years, and that shows that we have a lot of jobs. So is it true that because there are a lot of jobs that US tax professionals are earning 2x to 3x compared to traditional finance roles in India?
I would say they are definitely making better, 2x, 3x, from that compensation part, I would say, of making any comments there because every firm has their own, financial model that they work with. But I think they are definitely making better, as compared to the normal finance professionals in India they make. And it is pretty much more about you going global. Of course, the currency also plays a very bigger role there, but you growing global and you valuing value to the client work that you are working on in the right way. I think the rest of the success, could it be promotions, could it be, increments percentage, it's like a success behind the scenes.
So what's the highest, because I know that you want to avoid the 2x, 3x thing. So what's the highest if I start as an entry level in the US tax? How much can I earn after 20 years in US tax?
So I think sky is the limit. We had, 5 years of experience manager as well, doing great at PK for Connor Davis. We have so many examples at PK for Connor Davis that, not going through the number of years of experience, but what value, they themselves as a professionals are adding to our clients is what we believe in. So I think as far as the growth is concerned, sky's the limit. You can, we have some young partners at 28, 29 also. So absolutely the growth is phenomenal there.
Okay. So as a BCom student, do you expect me to do an EA or CPA? Why should I do that first?
So EA and CPA, again, those two are two different courses. So for become professionals, if we say about, right, I think EA is a little easier than a CPA. So they can, first do the EA. Now, why you need to do EA to be in this US tax industry is that is the crux of the tax. Just doing the work, AI will take that. But you should know what you are doing. You should know why these laws are being framed. Every law has been framed with a logic, right? And unless and until you do those professional courses, you will not be able to understand the logic of why there are certain regulations, why there are certain rules, how are we not making any kind of a tax provision that partnerships are getting benefited versus the corporations versus the individuals, right? So unless and until you understand the logic of the laws, you will not be able to do well at work, right? Because we know that from a processes, we pretty much can stand up the standard process. With AI, it is now much more easier. That part is going to take an over, right? So what we as individual, as tax professionals can add is the value to the client work. And that EA or CPA, whatever course you choose, that will help you to add that right value to the
I think that's a fantastic answer because most of the Instagram reels which I see is, BCom, do EA, CPA, earn 10 lakh, 20 lakhs. I think there's a very, very good thing when a leader talks. He talks always about the value, not about the package and all, because compensation can obviously grow. If you're more productive towards work, and as a BCom professional, it's very important to understand that EA and CPA just not helps you in a career growth, but also helps you become a better professional because end of the day you get a degree. But why do you think a chartered accountant should do? Because you were already a chartered accountant. Why did you do a CPA then after CA?
So while we are going at work, when we are thinking about going to a global level, right? It is pretty much that the second part of the team that you're working, right? You're working with the US partners. First thing is that they will be trusting you. If you have a global trust, degree, they will be trusting you as a professional because say for example, if I'm working for a partner for the first time, right? The partner doesn't even know how I work. But at least if I'm qualified, right, the trust that the partner would have, will definitely be different. So we should always, go to that level of acceptable degrees, pretty much the domain that we would like to work, that's for sure. And that was the very basic reason why I did my CPA right after my chartered accountancy.
Okay. So for freshers, what's the fastest way then to enter US tax? Is it enroll agent or CPA? No, EA versus CPA. What should we do?
So that depends if you are BCom, I think EA is better. So, with less of the efforts, you are getting a degree, you are getting an entry point. But if you're already a chartered accountant, and that makes it worthwhile because it's not that too much of efforts and time you have to spend to get a CPA. From a CA to a CPA is a very, very easy journey. In that case, let us not go a little down, achieving the EA, always set up our goals high and achieve CPA as a degree.
So at PKFO Corner, Davis, and is considered to be one of the prestigious CPA firms in the US and among the top 20 firms. So do you also prefer EA and CPA candidates while hiring? I know a lot of our alumni are already working with PK, but I just want you to even talk to our audience and let them understand what the US firms are thinking about these qualifications.
Yeah, so in general, our entry point is that we do not hire non-professionals. We hire only professionals, and the reason being is that to further train them, right? If you are not in that CA or the CPA or EA, then the training also becomes difficult. Difficult for you to grasp it, difficult. It makes difficult for us to teach you as well. But if you are a EA or CPA, we would like to take your career a push forward, right? So from A point to B point, if you have already journeyed through, it is pretty much for us to take you forward from B point to further points, right? So in that case, it is always preferable. And for me specifically at PK for Connor Davis for US tax, I do not hire non-professionals, only professionals.
So Arya, you still need to do EA or CPA. So if someone gets a CPA, then how does their growth accelerate compared to a non-certified professional?
So the CPA in terms of the finance, that definitely makes a difference to your salary, right? But more than salary, what I would like to add here is that with that course that you make up, with that degree that you earn up, right? The transformation that you will see on yourself, how value you are adding to the client. I will keep on, emphasizing, and I just cannot emphasize this, kind of reiterate this, the value that you are adding to the client. If you just have that one thought process in mind, that has been, my tagline from the start when I started as a staff till the level that I became the tax practice leader at Citron, and I lead the tax practice at PK for Connor Davis. Always, always think about the value, but this degree will transform the way that you think and the way that you will be adding value to your work. And that automatically will have, all the back success, in terms of promotions, in terms of finance, salary increments, and so on. So do not first focus on salary. I know that when I hire candidates, when I do a hiring, the first question is, my expectation is this much. Is that you are just at the start of your career, right? You are not in the industry still. At the first start of the career, initial 3 years is just focus on learning and just focus on adding value, with the knowledge that you have gained. If the knowledge could be from, the trainings that we have within the firm, it could be from the experiences that you could have from working with the team leader. It could be have from the experiences at times, working with the clients. Like at PK for Connor Davis, my seniors, they work with clients directly. Of course, the partners I've always looked in, but my seniors, they work with the clients and they are on the client calls, all the client communications, they're doing it. So in that case, I think the growth of the mind and the growth of the knowledge that you can have is phenomenal.
Why is this generation not able to understand the importance of learning over earning? So they feel this is more spiritual, to be honest, that we are learning and all, but then we are not earning anything. I know this is not there in the questions, but I just wanted to think from Gen Z's perspective, like why are they not thinking long term and they're like, today I want 10 lakh, 12 lakh, that's all.
Two things come to my mind. One is the fancy word that now they have taken over is work-life balance. I tell you there is a notion. If you are in this US tax industry domain or US domain, there is nothing like work-life balance. To a level where you are able to do work-life balance, unless and until you master the tax is really very demanding, right? So in that case, you will have to go above and beyond, no matter what number of hours that you have worked. We don't go crazy. As a leader, we are always responsible to provide you work-life balance, but not for the employees to aspire and achieve the work-life balance. We will always make sure from HR perspective, from, leader perspective, that none of our employees work to a level that they feel exhausted, right? But if I believe about the Gen Z generation, I think they are in that mindset and a little bit of over the culture, as we discussed earlier, taking the culture over work. Other than that, it should be like work over the culture.
But do you think their mindset is like, yeah, I'm doing so much of work, but I'm not getting compensated. So in terms of work, I'm getting exploited or something like that? Or what's your take on
I personally, I never had that scenario where my employee felt that I'm being exploited. Because as a leader, I have always had that check-in in my thought process, whether my team are moving in the right direction each day. Are we compensating? And we have our compensation committee as well, who keeps on checking with the industry and the market trends. Employees, they always feel that well. So personally speaking, I never had that scenario in my career of 17 years with US tax. I think if you as a leader keep on that checking in, either there is two things, it is pretty much your expectations and employee expectations and aspirations are different. Then the scenario, and that is the reason why the model that I was talking about, the pathway to success, plays a very big role to bridge that gap as to what we as employer and organization perspective, what are our expectations from you, and you as employee, right, you have those check-ins, point 1, 2, 3 to check mark whether you are performing and whether you are good at that. But we as leaders are also there. If you feel, what has been mentioned in our pathway to success, if you feel that somehow, madam, on my own individual level, I'm not able to check this box, we will work with you to get you there.
So now that they're not agreeing with you, and that's why they switch over to entrepreneurship. So let's talk about entrepreneurship, opening your own tax firms in India. So can someone in India open their own US tax practice after doing EA or CPA?
Definitely, the things are changing, and I see your alumni, right, and some of the people that even I have mentored at my prior firm, Prina. So she opened up her CPA firm.
She's doing phenomenally well,
She's
actually.
doing. I feel so very happy for her, and I've mentored her personally as well. So, you definitely, if you have that entrepreneur mindset, if you have that entrepreneur skills, because the skill set differs. If you want to be an entrepreneur, then the demands that you would have is different. And if you believe that you are pretty much belonging to that domain, you definitely can with EA, CPA. Yes, things are very easy.
So what are skills and tools are needed for young professionals to start their own practice? Because I get a lot of questions on Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn as well. They want to set up their practice here in India, but they don't know which software they should use, what skill set they should have, and how should they even approach the US firms back in the US.
Right. So if they are EA, CPA, first part, is pretty much a box that you are a professional, right? Because the US, from my experiences, right, we have to understand that they are miles away. How would they trust us? Just like how would we trust others, right? If they are sitting the miles away. Simultaneously, they also have the same mindset. How would we trust? So with professional qualification of EA or CPA, the first point is being checked off that as long as you're professionals, their trust is pretty much established. Now it is pretty much on how you get the business, how you approach. So I think LinkedIn is one of the major platforms these days. You can announce about, your opening of your own CPA firm and, reach out to the firms who are pretty much in the, I would say, mid 50 to 100, where they are actually in need of such help, from an outsourcing perspective. They are in need of such help, from India and elsewhere, typically in the tax seasons. And once you work, again, the value that you add to the work there, automatically referrals come in.
So US works on a referral system more.
A lot more. Specifically because, they trust their people, of course.
Exactly. So
So-
it's a completely a trust economy.
It's completely a trust economy. So in that case, the referrals, they go. And that's how, with the and
So what software do they need to practice? Like we are training the US tax, our professionals on Drake's software, and we have something called as practical US tax training, which we give in a tie-up with the CPA firm. So those people help them to file the tax returns, dummy tax returns.
Right.
But which software do you recommend? Is Drake good for the students?
Drake is good, and there are a couple of other softwares like Ultratext is one which I see which is very common. CCH Access is one very common, and pretty much from an entrepreneurial side when you're operating. More of a frequent what I see is that you will be working with the softwares that the CPA firm has been using eventually. So I think the first point is when you check on with them as to what your requirements are, right? What type of support you want us, from the India team. You can always ask for some dummy sessions, as Shipal said, dummy sessions, dummy trainings, and ask for practice sets. With that practice sets, if you and your team, performs well, it is pretty much a very good and a strong start, I would say, for your practice. So mainly I've used and I've heard about UltraTax, Drake and CCH.
So do you see more Indian entrepreneurs filing for US client? Is this model scalable? I mean, can they earn 1 CR to 2 CR in entrepreneurship, or how is it like?
It,
Again, I'm not talking like money and all, because I understand students' perspective is the real problem in our society is we compare success in monetary terms. So how much you earn makes you successful. So sadly, this is where the question is coming from. So do you think is it scalable? Can we grow this in monetary terms?
Yes, I think this number is also low. I would say if you do well in this entrepreneurship, again, I would say sky is the limit. And the demand is going to be
So
there.
whenever you tell sky's the limit, so do you want to put some figures for our students, or how is it like?
I am not a number person. You know me on the compensation side. I think performance and take up. It's a very simple equation that I believe, add value and you definitely. And I myself, I'm an example, for that. So
So normally, what type of clients, Ishika, they serve in entrepreneurship? So do they serve individual taxation like 1040 or 1120, or what kind of business do they target when they're opening their own firm?
So it would be a mixed bag. And to start with, we pretty much can focus more on the entities, that is corporations, partnerships, because for individuals, right?
Is there some reason why individual taxation? Because they file some form and they don't trust
Right.
their information going out.
So yeah, so there is a law that comes, to the play here is that if we have to work on their individual return, right? Then in that case, we need the client's consent.
Oh,
There
that's
is
the
a form.
reason the individual work doesn't.
Correct. So there is a form called 70 to 16, which they need to get it signed from the taxpayers and the clients. And once the form is signed, is only when they are allowed, to send the work to India. So we have a little restriction there, but I tell you that with the trust that we are able to form, right, with the relationships that works over the years, number of years that you work, then it doesn't become any more restrictions.
So have you seen any success stories of young people who built a career in US tax from scratch?
Myself. Right.
That's,
So it is
that's right,
like
actually.
I built up from the very scratch, started with the staff and with the same organization I left as the leader, right, the tax practice leader. So starting from a scratch, always remember, right, anyone who is expert at anything was always a beginner. So unless and until you're a beginner, how will you kind of, be an expert in that field? So all experts are once a beginner, never ever undervalue yourself, always take confidence and always try for better. So at times it happens that small steps that we, do in terms of an improvement to yourself each day, manifolds into the success stories for future.
So if someone wants to make a career in US tax, what clear 6-month roadmap would you give them?
So if someone wants to commence, I would say a lot of firms are coming up with internship program, right? And at PK O'Connor Davis also we have amazing internship program, and we have won, I would say 3 consecutive years we have been winning the award of being, providing the best internship program. So in that case,
Guys, can you have a big round of applause?
so in that case, the internship program is pretty much very, very closely. So it is not that one you join the internship program, that means you don't get to, work with the leaders. The leaders, at least at PKF O'Connor Davis and tax, I work very, very closely with all of my team members, including the interns. and we give them the same training as we give to the regular staff. So there is absolutely, no kind of a different training model that we work on. Simultaneously, the interns at PK for Connor Davis overall they work on life. So we train them, of course, and certain practice sets, once, twice. We feel comfortable that, okay, now they know the software, we pretty much take them on the live clients. So the 3 months to 6 months program that we have at PK on a Davis as internship program, it gives a little bit of a platform for as to, what an individual candidate is good at. Sometimes, we have found certain very good at doing research, then a different domain could be, their primary domain. At times, we have seen them that they are very good at, scaling the work, just in case if that 30-40 hour return turns out to be a 60-80 hour, but that scalable thing they are able to absorb very well, then they are probably into a different, meant to be in a different domain. So this 3 to 6 months of time, the interns also get to know the culture of the firm, the process of the firm, the policies of the firm, and simultaneously we as leaders also get to know as to what are they good at. See, as leaders, I would always believe that I am always up and in terms of in support, always there with the team to give them the opportunities the way that they wish to have, their future career to be. So in that case, I think this internship program works as a win-win situation, right, for both the candidates
And for the students who are watching us, please do apply. We have been sharing a lot of times that PKF is hiring. So please apply them later. Don't tell me that we didn't see the post. And this is going Instagram live, YouTube live. So we have our corporate relation team. Please send out your resumes. And our Nara is one person plays equal to one family settled. So now that the leader themselves are telling that they are hiring, please send your resume so that we can shortlist some of them and send to them, right? But now, one very important thing, I would say, Ishita, is mentorship and structured learning. So, what are your thoughts? Like, how is that important in this field?
I think it is the most important if you are able to choose the correct mentor in your life, right? And I will just share from my experiences, the way that my professional career has been shaped because I had wonderful mentor and certain mentors, even if you change the organizations, the mentor doesn't change because certain mentors, for you it becomes your lifetime mentor, and so is the case, in my professional journey. So while you choose your mentor, right, always see as to what he or she could be able to kind of contribute to your success, also contribute, to your learning journey, because learning is never going to. We are in a profession where we will have to keep on learning. Specifically for the tax, the regulations, the laws, they keep on changing every year, right? So we have to be adaptive to new learning. So from a mentor perspective, always get into that program. At PK for Davis, again, we have career advisor program, which pretty much serves the purpose of the mentorship. And the career advisors, they have the check-in calls with each of our employee on a quarterly basis. And we have, goal setting quarterly checkup calls where we see and, make up short-term goals and long-term goals for our employees and have check-ins as to where you are, with each quarter. We don't want to kind of, have any kind of surprises at either way. That okay, you set up a goal, but after 1 year when we have our yearly, meet, we were not able to get to where we wanted to, right? So those quarterly check-in calls helps you, whether you are moving in the right directions or whether you need any help, right, from us as leaders, to be pushed forward. So
So, how as a leader, like, because today's audience, one thing I've seen is comparison, because they think that this guy is successful at this age. So it's a problem. It's again the number problem. One is compensation problem of Gen Z, and second is comparison problem. This guy is like at 19 years, he's earning so much. I'm doing nothing and I'm fit for nothing. So I'm a vegetable. So what do you think? Like, how do they overcome with this comparison? Because I see a lot of them when they get failed. So I personally call them. So the first question when I talk to them and when I mentor them, their problem is not that they have failed the exam. The problem is that fellow passed the exam and he have passed at a young age. So now what should I, as a mentor, you advise to the students who couldn't pass the exams, and how should they get back on the foot and start practicing it again and pass the exam?
I think both of those C's are problematic for us, and in this with this
Comparison and compensation.
and with this generation, it's tough. I get it, and I also deal it. In every day of my career. So in general, right, just in case if someone hasn't passed, see there are so many things that comes your way as luck, and there are so many things that is beyond your control, right? What is in our control is to work hard. What is in our control is to practice well. What is in our control is to prep well. As long as we believe that we have given 100%, and if we are not able to kind of pass, it's okay. You know, take it a kind of a setback for a while, but then go double. Double up your power. And see how you are able to kind of regain that energy. I have also had, and I told you right that I couldn't appear for my one of my CPA exams because of my personal medical reason, and on the day of the exam also I had to fly back from US to India. So again, speed up your process, speed up your power, speed up your energy within you. That if you were not able to crack that exam on that particular day, that day was just not right for you. But that is not the end of the day, right? That's not an end of your career. uh, and just up here, I mean, we have pro matrix centers now in India, so many facilities around you to reschedule and schedule your exams again. So just
So I
learn
think
it
that
and
kind of
crack it.
solves the problem, right? Every month you have the ENCP exams. Unlike chartered accountants, which happens 3 in a year. But that kind of solves his individualist thinking on failure. But what about comparison? Like पड़ोसी का बंदा मेरे से आगे चले गए. So how do I kind of stop myself by not comparing with them?
So, see, from a student perspective, I would say, and to the employees also, I keep on telling
What is
you
one
that
practical way to stop this comparison?
you should always focus on your journey, right? Do not, are you going to follow that person? Say, for example, 5 years down the line, if you see that particular right was earning only 2x, but you are at 5x, are you going to come down to the salary because you are comparing again? No, right? So you should always focus on your journey, and you should always, make sure that you are on that roadmap to achieve your goals. So everyone's journey is independent, and there absolutely should actually be no comparison, because no two employees are working the similar way. No two employees are pretty much contributing to the client service the same way. So it could be possible that one person gets a success this year, the second person gets it next year, but that's how they.
It's an excellent answer for the people, Gen Zs especially, and the students who are working on. Amazing answer. Like you really need to be long term in order to overcome comparison, because we have a problem of short term thinking. Today you are not successful. It's not guaranteed that after 2 3 years you'll not be successful. India have lost the World Cup, but they won the World Cup again. Right? So I think you'll need to be long term in order to overcome comparison, and that's what I can interpret and analyze what Ishita wants to talk. Because 5 years down the line, it's not the failure, it's the amount of hard work which determines how much you are successful. I mean, you might not be successful today, but if you work really hard, 5 years down the lane, you might be superior to them. But again, thinking like I am superior and others are inferior is more like sickness than success, because success cannot be with comparison. Just imagine that I am superior and you're fool. It really doesn't work out. So comparison itself per se itself is sickness, not success. So let's not compare our success. Now you said that you really work hard, and that's what I was now coming to is the schedule. So what time you come up and what time you come up to the store to the office? What is your entire day? How is it looking like?
So the first thing is the work from home versus work from office. That's a big, kind of a discussion that we have these days with our employees. So I work from office most of the days, probably almost all days, unless and until I am, having any personal medical reason that I have to stay back at home. I work from office all days. I am mostly in, much earlier than my employees are. For most of the days, I'm the first one to enter into my office. Before my employees even join in, I am all set with my scheduler. resource management personnel as to what's the work that has come in. Before my employee comes in, around 10:30 a.m. is our business hours. 10:30 to 7:30 is our business hours. And before the employees, they come over to the office and they start their work. We pretty much have already, done the work allocations, what we had. Also making sure that we keep on allocating the work that keeps our employees challenging. So all those discussions, I already have, pretty much the first 1 hour of my day to make sure that how that employees, and we pretty much have a scheduling process across the firm where we schedule the jobs, pretty much in advance. Because when we schedule the jobs, we also make sure that schedules are made available to our employees so that way they can prep themselves. This is what is going to fall on my plate. I don't like surprises to fall on my plate, and so I never ever have my employees to have those surprises. Suddenly if you come over to, for your day at work, and you come to know that, okay, I have one new work, which is like 80-hour or 90-hour project. Oh my goodness, I was planning to take a PTO, tomorrow. And, so all of those surprises, are really very bad. At times, yes, in tax seasons where things go out of our control, where client does not provide us information timely, we might have to tackle those situations, and which is very common with our industry. So not to even complain about it. This is what the domain we are into. Accept it and do it, right? But other than that, we have a very nice scheduling process set up. And pretty much our day is well planned, well organized.
So, considering that there are a lot of multitasking happening in this generation, everyone wants to do three things and then become inefficient in all the three things. So, this is how I summarize. So, what is your strategy to overcome multitasking, and is multitasking real or is it a myth?
I think multitasking is real, and to my belief, it is a necessity as well. Unless and until you multitask, you pretty much will not be able to cater the clients because the demands are domain. The way that now clients have been asking certain questions is that they would be otherwise asking to their own internal CPA, right? To
So,
that
how do you
extent-
prioritize? If suppose you get this work, that work, and like three works at a time coming to you, so how do you prioritize means? Should I give a priority to them or to whom or what?
So firstly, I prioritize based on the timelines that I have committed to the US. With the US, your culture commitment, it would be commitment to work, commitment to quality, commitment to time is very, very crucial. So if we have committed any deliverables, that always take priority. Second priority will always be, where I'm, which time needs me the most is prioritized. And certain things that where I do not have to work around with my team. Equality to the workplace. At PK for on a daily basis also, I'm like new mentoring woman and I love mentoring women. Share from my experiences. The way that you plan work, right, at office, you have to plan work at your home. And there is absolutely no balance that you will be able to strike the best. You will always feel that you are keeping on struggling, right? And I tell you that the backups that we have at home, if you had say kids, the maids and all of those backups that we need, it's pretty much requirement and now and with this domain now because we have busy seasons, right? You cannot commit something which will is going to kind of even spoil your personal, kind of a balance. So it is tough to get that balance, but you will have to, and there is absolutely not a perfect balance in terms of,
So what all for those people who can't afford a maid, and also how do they, because they themselves need to do, or say a second case where the in-laws are not allowing also for that. So either case they are checkmate. So what do you want to do?
Correct. So I have those scenarios as well, and I keep on, talking to my female employees is, start self, start respecting your profession. And the way that you change, that respect for yourself, you will see other people, changing their mindset for you. That is the first step. Second step is, we at, in general, we at Big Air for Davis have, kind of a family days as well. So we would now, for next year also, when we plan our events calendar, one day would be where we allow our, employees' families to come over to the office. I very recently had, very fresh new hire, with our 990 team at Ahmedabad. And he came over, he shifted from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, to join PK for Connor Davis. And he was in our office very recently with his dad. All right. So once the parents they see as to their son and daughter, how are they placed? Which firm are they working with, right? All that also affects their mindset. So it eventually will be, but for females, I will always say that go little slow with your energy at home. When you are at home, just think about your home. When you are at office, just think about work. And that is the only balance that will be able to strike. Because at work, if you think about your home, you will not be a good professional. At home, if you think about your work, you will not be a good mother. So always, strike that balance this way.
Can we have a big round of applause? I'm asking a lot of women-based and gender-based questions right now, but there are a lot of females because I majorly when I mentor, they're like, so people who do CPA here for some strange reason at Samantha, there are a lot of people who are like housewives and they are doing CPA and they come up with a lot of these challenges. I tell them, don't give me excuses and you just need to study. One more thing which I hear a lot is a lot of the female professionals, they don't come up and talk. The communication skills is a very big problem, not just for the females, but even for the males. It's not easy to come up and just talk so fluently like you. So in short, they just want to understand how can they become like Ishita.
So, in terms of that skills management, right? I think once you start working, and as long as you are a student, once you have cracked up your degree program and all those things are done, always try doing internship. I think internship, we are just undervaluing that program. Internship is a very, very valuable program, and once you join internship program, you will see yourself, changing into your skill sets. The communication skills automatically becomes better. Your technology skills, your IT skills, automatically gets into, because you have to learn new software, you have to learn Outlook, you have to be on virtual meetings, with the teams. So from a technology perspective, also you are learning, and that will also change you.
And what if there is no internship? Is there any other alternative for them?
For image guns as well, that you can see there are short-term, 1 month program, 2 month program also for the image consultants that would help you to kind of shape up your overall professional, kind of an image well, and that includes, all the attires and all those things are well covered because with specifically US industry, a lot goes, with that culture also in terms of how you address stuff, how confident are you at work, how good are you at communication.
So were you not nervous like you were in the first client, and how would you kind of eliminate the stage fear, like to come up and talk? So do you want to share an instance to the audience, like you're a little nervous and you overcome that?
Yeah, so I think I wasn't nervous when I handled my first client because my prep was 120%.
So preparation plays a very, very important role because before you communicate, preparation is a very important part.
Yes, always be prepped. Even today, even if I have to be on a client call, I'm very well prepared. I always have my team ready as to what, they are going to share.
I think that's why you were telling me, why did you share the questions yesterday?
Yes,
Because you
I
wanted
am.
to
I
plan for these
always,
questions.
I always like to. I am okay with impromptu, but I always love to be prepped. So preparation plays a very big role here. Could it be at work? Could it be at any of the client calls also? So that would help you to stay confident, right? While you are in that communication.
Awesome. I think none of them were watching time till our conversation has been completed. Give a big round of applause to Shiva. I mean, it has been one of the fantastic communications which I had. Looked like a mini podcast for me, actually, with the way the communication is flowing, with the way some of the inspiring words which have come up. It shows that it directly comes from the heart, not from the leaders. So hats off to the personality what you are and the ethics and the spirituality which you carry. And when we were in Ahmedabad, we were talking a lot about that. And leader has to be empathetic. I think that's what comes up in most of the answers when you try to kind of give in to the questions which we have through. So if there are any questions on Instagram or on YouTube from any of the students, would love to kind of take it up. Marketing team, if you have any questions, or we can give a second or so, like 30 seconds for anyone who's watching us. If you want to ask questions on EA, CPA, US tax, this is the time kind of you can ask because majority I've covered on your behalf. But in case if you have any of those, please feel free to ask.
This shows either I've done a very wonderful job or people.
No, actually, whenever I take live, it comes like a rapid fire. They keep on asking because this has been a more structured communication because I've taken down all the questions which they had technically. So that's what I'm just trying to check out. Yeah, if you have anything, anyone, would you want to ask any questions?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I had a question. Which is your favorite form to work?
Favorite form to work. So, there is no kind of a favorite form. I would say, rather than form, I pretty much would go for the work. Which form is very structured. And pretty much more about the quality versus the quantity. So any form, is good in my belief, which is focusing on quality versus the quantity. I am not a quantity person at all. I love the quality. Even if you have worked for 8 hours a day, but if you are giving me a quality, I'm pretty much happy with it. I am not a number person on that billable hours kind of a criteria.
So I think that kind of answers small firm versus big four, right? Because majority loves working with Deloitte, EY, KPMG, and PwC. I think that's what you wanted to ask, but then you switched over the question to you, asking that which firm you like to work the most.
So, and with me, I've been with certain Kukuman earlier with 16 years. I started my career with that firm, and I was there for 16 years. It's a long journey, right? Pretty much it became more like a second home for me. And then very recently, last 2024 May is where I have switched to PKF of Honor Davis.
So I think the exposure plays a more important role than just the selection of the firm. I think that's what is important.
So we have an exam question related from the student. If I'm appearing for EA Part 1 on Feb 2025, I think it must be 2026, then can I take another Part 2 on May?
Okay, so I think they've just,
Yeah,
this is a problem when we go live, they just attack me there. So technically, it doesn't depend on when you write the exam, it depends on the slots, what you have. So if there are slots open, I think why not? Because part one, part two, part three of EA technically takes 2 to 3 months. So definitely, if you're planning it in February, you can plan it around in May month. So probably May end should be a better start to kind of write the year part two exam. And then finally go with part three is more easier because it's more towards representations and all. Part one deals with individuals and part two deals with corporate taxation and all. Technically, I've seen part two being the tougher part in case if you're not working with any of the firms. If you're already working, part two becomes easier because majority of the firms hire their work is more on corporate taxation and all. So they find part two easier and part one tougher. So if you're not working anywhere, you will find all the three parts indifferent actually, but technically you should be able to write. Okay.
And as long as you are at Simandar, all parts are easy, right?
Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, Abhishek. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. It was great having you all watching us, and thank you, Shita. It's a pleasure hosting you, and I'm sure many of them would have kind of enjoyed this session a lot. I'll leave it up to some of them here in case if you have any of the work-related questions because they have other employees also here. So would love to kind of take up any questions in case if you have on leadership, on multitasking, on work, building, scheduling, and all. So this is a great time because we have a lot of employees here who are employees. I think 70% of our workforce is like that. So they have kids and all. So it's a good that they got some good answers from your side how to manage that. But in case if you have still any answers, please feel free to ask anyone anything.
Ma'am, I have one question.
Sure.
I think we can stop the Instagram live. Thank you.
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Ma'am, I'll just put three questions in one single frame and ask. And I would like to first appreciate you and all for coming over here. And it's a really nice session I had, like very calming voice that you have actually. And the first question is like, these days people get burnt out easily doing the repetitive tasks, and I know that work-life balance actually it will not be there in real life. But how we actually do that, being burnt at the same time and also handling the work-life balance and the inherent stress and all that women do actually have a lot of things. So how do we actually?
I think,
handle
we as women in general, we don't prep ourselves. And that is one way how we ourselves are making us inefficient. So the way that I give trainings, to the employees, I do scheduling for my team members. I do the same thing for my home, my dear. It is that thorough that, because while I am at work, right, I really have to replicate a second issue at home to take over those tasks, right? So it could be, multitasking as to my kids' homework, dropping at tuitions, picking up, studying for exams. So I think what we are at in general, we are really bad is at the prep. We don't prep ourselves well, and we don't prep our, the family members or, the support people that we have. We don't prep them well. And if we just prep ourselves, we are making in general ourselves efficient and we are also making other people efficient. Because if we keep on sharing surprises to each other, that will not definitely not go a long way. Someone at home might handle a surprise, one day, twice, not ever. So let us, be very transparent as to what I was here, I have my kids appearing for Olympiad exam, and I just